Which one of Team Murray is the funniest?
That's easy. That's me by a long, long way. To be honest, I wouldn't say anyone else in the team is funny at all. So, I mean, it's not too tough a competition. But even if there was a few funny guys in there, I'm by far the funniest.
What is your favourite motivational quote?
I really hate motivational quotes. Actually, I find them really often quite cheesy and not particularly inspirational myself. Obviously, some people find them really motivational, but I think that actually people walking in the gym with the right mindset and the right attitude kind of brings its own level of intensity. I cringe when I see most motivational quotes.
How do you periodise such a competent S&C programme for tennis players that has very little or no off-season?
That's an excellent question, and it's actually something that I'm almost one of my the subjects that I'm most passionate about. Actually, is training blocks for tennis players. You're right in many respects. There is no defined off-season for most tennis players. They could compete all year round. At tour level, actually, it's a little better. In that kind of November, December window, there's not a lot of tournaments available, so players can put their rackets down and focus on the physical side a little more. But I really passionately believe that players, serious players, performance players of all levels should put their rackets down for a few weeks and focus on the physical side. And here at the LTA, we really would like to kind of mandate a 12 weeks of the year which are dedicated to physical preparation. And that's not necessarily, well, it isn't 12 weeks in a row. That's one big 6-week block once a year and 2 other small 3-week blocks to maintain the gains that you've made in that big block. So I do believe that periodising is possible. I think it's absolutely essential for the long-term athlete development of our tennis players. So definitely passionate about that one.
We've got a few people asking, there's other sports that look like yoga and Pilates. Do we do any kind of that work with any of the players?
Absolutely, and it's certainly something that someone like Andy does a lot more, particularly now he's kind of, dare I say, pushing towards the sort of second half of his professional career, if I can say that. I would say that he does, particularly in a training week, at least 2 or 3 hours of that kind of work, be it Pilates or yoga, in order to keep his body not only loose but also stable, as we've mentioned before. It's one thing developing flexibility, but you also need the stability in the muscles to support that new level of flexibility, and that's vital, absolutely vital for every tennis player, not just tennis players that are like I say, are getting slightly older, but even for our youngest players. Developing flexibility with stability is massively important.
And final question from Richard is, how did you get to where you are today?
It was a long road. I started playing tennis at a very young age, realised fairly quickly that I wasn't good enough to make a career out of it, unfortunately, but loved the game. So I spent a lot of time at my local tennis club, which then developed a gym at the local tennis club, so I started working in that gym, went off to get my studies done, got my degree, and then basically did a lot of volunteering in the early part of my career. Flew over to Australia and did a year's worth of volunteering for various kind of sporting organisations. The one thing I did decide very early on was that I wanted to work in tennis, so I picked a niche sport for myself and stuck at it. And then sooner or later my opportunity came along to work for the Lawn Tennis Association in the academy up at Loughborough. Did that for a few years, and then an opportunity came up at the National Tennis Centre, and I grabbed that with both hands. Started working with Jamie Murray, and then kind of through Jamie met Andy, and lo and behold, here we are today. So I would say kind of a lot of volunteering work in the early years of my career to gain experience, and kind of hassling people to get that voluntary experience was pretty key. And the other thing I did was I made sure that I kind of went to places where the tennis players were. It's very difficult to develop a good career with high level players if you're not nearby them. So kind of moving to being prepared to move to wherever you need to go is kind of one of the things that you have to commit to, I think.